Be honest with me for a second. If you were standing in a payday line, grips, wranglers, working men waiting on their envelopes, and John Wayne himself walked up and asked to join that line, what would you think? The men at old Tucson, Arizona couldn't figure it out either, because in 1966, Duke's money didn't come in envelopes. It moved through banks and business managers in numbers a man can't carry. And yet, one Thursday afternoon, he found the set accountant and said his pay would be taken at the window this week, in an envelope, in line, like everyone else. The accountant asked why. Wayne gave him no reason at all. What happened at that pay window the next afternoon, and what a sweat-stained cowboy hat had to do with it, stayed with those men for the rest of their lives. By the way, for our nostalgia-loving viewers, I'm leaving my friend Henry's channel in the description below. Don't forget to pay him a visit after the story. Here is the story. Thursday afternoon, old Tucson, Arizona, 1966. The set accountant of El Dorado is balancing his ledgers in the production trailer when the doorway goes dark. He looks up, and John Wayne is filling it. "This week's pay," Wayne says. "I'll take it at the window, in line, with everybody else." The accountant blinks. In 20 years of location work, he has never, not once, handed a star a pay envelope through a plywood window. Stars don't have pay envelopes. Their money moves on paper between offices in Los Angeles in amounts that don't fit in envelopes. "Mr. Wayne, can I ask why?" Wayne is already turning to go. "Just have it out there, son." That's all. No reason, no explanation. The accountant sits there a long moment, then writes a note to himself because whatever this is, he doesn't want to be the man who gets it wrong. And that evening, he has to place a call to Los Angeles because nobody in Arizona knows how to fit 1 week of John Wayne into a pay envelope. No stack of bills could hold that number. The answer comes back as a single check. The accountant types the envelope himself, seals it himself, and never tells a living soul what's written on it. Real quick, drop your state in the comments. I love seeing where all of you are watching from. Now, to understand what John Wayne was doing, you have to go back 6 days. Everybody on that picture knew Amos Kern. He was 54 years old, a Tucson man born and raised. For 20 years, every Western that came through southern Arizona, every one, moved its horses on Amos Kern's trucks. He'd hauled stock for Wayne's pictures 3 times before. He knew every animal by name before the wranglers did. He was the man who showed up an hour early and left an hour late. And if you thanked him for it, he'd look embarrassed and find something to fix. He had a wife, Ruth, a daughter, 12, a son, 9, and a small house on the east side of Tucson, bought in 1947 on a 20-year loan, $38 a month, every month, for 19 years. Now there was exactly 1 year left. He used to joke about it at the loading ramp. "Come next summer, boys, I won't owe $1 to any man alive." That autumn, El Dorado was running behind. A week of storms had scrambled the schedule, and the production was moving horses twice as often as planned. Day scenes, night scenes, back again. It wasn't Amos's job to cover the extra runs. He took them anyway. That was the kind of man he was. For 3 weeks, he was on the road before sunrise and under his trucks past dark, helping a picture that never asked him to. On a Sunday night, in his own yard, next to the truck he'd just finished greasing for the Monday run, Amos Kern's heart stopped. He was gone before Ruth reached the porch. The funeral was Tuesday. That's how it was done in those days, quickly, properly, with the whole neighborhood in attendance. Half the crew drove in from old Tucson in their Sunday clothes. Wayne sent flowers and stood at the back and shook Ruth Kern's hand on the way out, and there wasn't a thing anyone could say that made any of it smaller. What the crew didn't see was the arithmetic that came home with Ruth that evening. A funeral cost money. $800 of it, near enough, and Amos Kern's family didn't have $800 lying loose, because every spare dollar for 19 years had gone into that house. So Ruth signed a paper at the funeral home and borrowed against a future she could no longer picture. And then she sat at her kitchen table with the mortgage book and the numbers that didn't work. 1 year left, 12 payments of $38, and the man who made the payments was gone. But Ruth Kern had one hope left. Amos had died working himself to the bone for a Hollywood picture. Surely, she thought, there would be something. Some payment, some insurance. Surely the company took care of its own. On Wednesday, she drove out to old Tucson to ask. The accountant met her in front of his own trailer because he didn't have the heart to make her stand at a window. He'd wired the studio's insurance office that morning, the moment he heard she was coming. The reply was in his hand. And here is what nobody planned. 30 feet away, in the shade of the next trailer, John Wayne was sitting with a cup of coffee between scenes, still in costume, resting one lung the way he'd learned to since the surgery. He wasn't part of the conversation. He heard every word of it. The accountant read the wire the way men read things they're ashamed of. Flat, fast, eyes on the paper. Regarding Kern, Amos, deceased was not an employee at time of death. Fatal event occurred off-premises, outside working hours, from natural causes. No benefit is payable. Off-premises, outside working hours, natural causes. Every word of it was technically true. The man had worked 3 weeks of extra runs for their picture, and his heart had given out at the end of them. But it gave out in his own yard, on his own time, next to his own truck. So on paper, the company owed the Kern family exactly nothing. Ruth Kern didn't argue. She was not a woman who argued. She thanked the accountant, thanked him, and folded her hands, and walked back to her car, and drove home to 2 children and 13 debts. Wayne didn't move from his chair. He watched her go. He drank his coffee. He said not one word. Because surely, somebody was going to fix this. By Thursday morning, somebody had tried. Word moves through a film crew faster than fire through dry grass. And by breakfast, half the men on that set were talking about passing a collection for the Kern family. A wrangler had offered to walk it around. A couple of grips were in, and the production office shut it down. No organized solicitations on company property. That was the ruling. Legal didn't like it. Insurance didn't like it. If the company allowed an official collection, some lawyer in Los Angeles said, it might look like an admission that the company owed something. So the kindest thing 60 working men wanted to do was, formally, against the rules. Wayne heard all of it from his assistant a little after noon. He listened the way he always listened, nodded once, asked no questions. Then he set down the script he was holding and walked across the lot to the accountant's trailer and gave the strangest instruction that man's ledgers had ever seen. This week's pay, I'll take it at the window, in line, with everybody else. The company had rules about collections. Fine. There was no rule about a man and his hat. Friday, 4 o'clock, the pay window. The line stretched past the corral fence. Wranglers, grips, electricians, drivers, the wardrobe ladies, the script girl, envelopes going out one at a time, the way they had on every Friday of every picture ever made. And then the talking died, person by person, down the whole length of the line. John Wayne was walking toward the window. He stopped at the back of the line, like anyone else, and then, quietly, he asked the men ahead if they'd let him through. Mind if I go ahead, fellas? I've got some business at this window. They stepped aside, every one of them. Nobody knew what was happening, but you could feel it coming, the way you feel weather. The accountant slid an envelope through the window. For the first time in his career, John Wayne's pay was in it. Wayne took the envelope. He didn't pocket it. He turned around to face the line, 60 working men and women, most of them holding their own pay. And he spoke. Not loud. He never needed loud. Most of you knew Amos Kern, he said. 20 years, every horse on every picture that came through this valley rode on that man's trucks. These last weeks he was working extra for this picture, because that's the kind of man he was. Worked like that his whole life, taking care of his family. A pause. Maybe that's what it cost him. Nobody moved. Somewhere behind the fence, a horse shifted its feet. Wayne took off his hat. The hat. the sweat-stained Stetson half of America would recognize at 100 yards. He turned it over in his hands like a collection plate at a country church, and he put his own pay envelope into it, sealed, unopened, whatever number was written inside, and it landed in the crown, light as paper and heavier than anything else that hat would carry all day. "I owe Amos Kern more than I ever got around to paying," he said. "This is how I choose to settle some of it. If your heart says so, add to it. Whatever's right for you. I'll be delivering it to Ruth Kern myself." And he handed the hat to the nearest man. Have you ever seen 60 people go quiet and reach for their pockets at the same time? The ones who'd already been paid came walking back down the line to meet the hat. The ones still waiting stayed in line, got their envelopes, broke them open right there at the window, and put something in before their pay ever reached their pockets. $5 here, 10 there, half a day's wages in 1966, given without a blink. A young grip put in 5, thought about it, and put in 5 more. The wardrobe ladies gave. The script girl gave. The hat went down the line, hand to hand, getting heavier. Off at the edge of it all, the unit photographer raised his camera, one frame, quick, before anyone could pose. A tall man holding out his own hat, a line of working people reaching into their pockets, and dust in the afternoon light. Wayne found his assistant. One instruction: when it's done, bring it to me. Mitchum put an envelope in. Hawks came down off his chair and did the same. Neither man made anything of it, and neither did Wayne. It wasn't a day for names. That evening, a car left old Tucson with 3 men in it: Wayne, his assistant, and an old wrangler who'd known Amos Kern for 20 years and knew the way to his house. Wayne carried the hat to the door himself, both hands. What was said in Ruth Kern's kitchen that evening, no camera saw and no reporter ever heard. The wrangler, years later, would only say this much: that Wayne set the hat on the kitchen table, full as a feed bucket, and said a few quiet words about what Amos had meant to the men on that picture. That he thanked her, for the loan of a good man's time. That the children stood in the hallway in their pajamas, staring at a face they knew from the movie house. And that when Ruth Kern tried to hand the hat back, Wayne was already at the door. He never took it back. He walked to the car bareheaded, and the hat stayed on the kitchen table with everything it held. The count, when Ruth's hands finally steadied enough to make it, a little over $1,100 from the crew of Dorado, before the envelope. The one with no name on it, from the man who wouldn't say what it held. It was enough. Enough for the funeral debt. Enough for 12 mortgage payments. Enough that the following summer, Ruth Kern paid off the little house on the east side of Tucson, 1 year late in the paying, exactly as her husband had always planned it, and free and clear forever. The company never paid $1. On paper, they were right not to. Off premises, outside working hours, natural causes, every word of it defensible, and every word of it small. The men of that crew paid instead, $5 and $10 at a time, out of pay envelopes on a Friday afternoon. And the biggest star in the world stood in a pay line he'd never stood in before, so that a company rule about collections would have nothing to catch hold of. There was no solicitation on company property. There was just a man and his hat, and his own pay going in first. Wayne never spoke of it, not to a reporter, not in an interview, not once in the 13 years he had left. The photograph, the hat held out, the people reaching for their pockets, sat in the unit photographer's files for decades before anyone outside that crew ever saw it. And the hat never came back to him. It stayed in the Kern family, and it's in the Kern family still, a sweat-stained Stetson that once held a funeral, a mortgage, and the respect of 60 working men and women. They say you can measure a man by what he does when the rules say he owes nothing. By that measure, there was never a bigger one. If this story reached you, do me a favor. Share it with somebody who still believes a debt of the heart outranks the fine print. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button. There are more Duke stories coming. Before we wrap up the video, a quick reminder. If you want to relive 1950s Brooklyn or 1970s Memphis, don't forget to check out Henry's channel. Send him greetings from our channel in the comments. And finally, they don't make men like John Wayne anymore.